Amazing episode of The Profit tonight. Is Marcus going to keep this company? Is he going to let it go? Find out next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Remember this song?
I do remember it.
Robbie Williams. The reason why we're playing Robbie Williams tonight is because it's a late night for this show. And we need to wake everybody up. We need to wake you up. We need to wake ourselves up. Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's after show for The Profit with Marcus Lemonis. We're going late tonight, so it's 11 p.m. on the Pacific Coast.
On the Pacific Coast.
And typically we do 2 hours earlier. Long story. You don't need to know, but in the end, we're here.
Late.
We're ready to go.
Oh, we are here.
I'm Chris Howard. You can reach me both during the episode, after the episode, whatever you want, at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram. Also reach out at legendarylivingdaily.com for tips, information, motivational stuff, entrepreneurial stuff. That's legendarylivingdaily.com. And over here on my left, we've got the one, the only
Katerina Cozias. Hey everyone, if you're still awake, you're with us. And you can find me on Twitter at Cozias Katerina. I'm on Instagram at Katerina Cozias. So either variation of those two names, you can find me. You can also catch up with me on my website, which is globalgab.com, where I gab with you about global happenings.
She likes to gab.
I do like to gab, and it's a big world out there. So did you know, actually, before we get into this episode?
You always have a little tidbit.
Of course, here we go. So they have actually discovered what could be potentially a new globe.
A new globe?
Yes, in the next solar system, they've identified a planet called Proxima B.
Like a new world?
Yes,
Okay.
like a new world.
I was thinking of a snow globe.
Like a globe, like a globe I can gab about.
Okay, go.
And they say that it's not too hot, not too cold, could sustain water, could sustain life. So
Are we losing you?
You may lose me. I don't know. I mean,
might,
this episode of The Profit was so, I don't know.
You might find husband material over there.
I may have to go to another world. And that's where we've gotten to, folks.
Sorry, I stole that joke. That was so somebody else had told me, one of the cast members of the old Mad TV.
Okay.
And I was tweeting with her, and she said, well, maybe they'll find husband material on this new world. So I stole her joke.
There you go. I got to go out to Proxima B. But you know what? The
Yeah.
SpaceX is like blowing up rockets. I don't know if I can get there.
You never know. You could you could be a guinea pig. And Marcus Lemonis could go in 50-50 partners with you.
And take over for the first little while, and I'd be cool with that because he knows what he's doing.
He gets to control the whole thing.
That's right.
And he decides where your ship's going to land and everything. Yeah, that could.
I'd be okay with that, I think.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into the episode. That's going to keep us on path, on target here. We're talking The Profit. What a wild episode. This was so much fun.
Woo, the soup market.
Yeah, the soup market. So Marcus, as always, is coming in to turn this business around. The company's called the Soup Market. It's a soup. Do I want to say soup kitchen? It's not.
It's sort of a soup, like a fast food soup joint.
Yeah, we can't
almost.
say soup kitchen because then you think charity.
Right, but a soup market.
Yeah, so you go in and they give
They
you
have a
soup.
variety of soups.
Right.
Yeah.
But as a business opportunity, what do you think? Like, if we take out everything, if we take out all the people issues, everything else, and you look at it, do you think it has franchisability?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Because I think especially in this day and age, 2016 going into 2017, people are looking for healthier options.
Right.
And you've seen a surge in things like Subway versus Wendy's. I think you see a surge in salad bars.
I like Wendy's.
Yeah, I like Wendy's too.
Yeah, Wendy's has the best burgers, by the way.
I do like Wendy's burgers.
Yes. Do you? There you go.
But you've got salad bars, so why not a soup bar?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think that's.
I think as an idea, it's a good one.
Yeah, and the title is good. The soup market, I like that. I could imagine that being branded and rolled out around the country.
Absolutely, yeah.
But of course, there's issues that can prevent a company from getting there, and
In this case, there were.
yeah. So let's talk about Marcus's arrival. He arrives and he meets the owner, Dave. What are your first impressions of Dave, Katerina Cozias?
Very first impressions of Dave were okay. I thought he was a store owner. He had gone to Marcus for help. He seemed as though he was open to listening to what Marcus had to suggest.
Right.
But then we had his wife, Jill, who sort of started loitering around.
Can you say that one more time?
Loitering
There you go,
around.
proper
Jill was loitering around.
I was going to say enunciation, but I couldn't enunciate it. Yeah.
It's late here, folks.
Yeah, his wife is there,
His wife is there.
loitering around. She's
Loitering
hanging out
around
an awful lot.
And an awful lot. And I thought, okay, well, okay.
Yeah.
But
So there was something strange about that.
something strange, a little bit strange about that.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the episode yet, it's a brilliant episode. You got to watch it. I love to watch for the business learnings, and it's jam packed with business learnings.
Always.
But it had the drama that makes good television too. This was a great episode. I
Yes.
really enjoyed it. So his wife's hanging around, and there's a reason why Dave's wife is hanging around, but we can't reveal it
get
yet
to
because
that
that would
later.
be anticlimactic.
Right.
So
So Marcus comes in. Marcus
Yeah.
says to him, you've got a good business here. What are your numbers? Right? The classic question Marcus asks, what are your profit margins? What are your sales? What soup sells out first, second, third? And that's when Dave started to lose me a little bit because he had no answers.
Okay, so advice to business owners, don't even think of having this conversation with Marcus before you know your numbers backwards and forwards.
Really?
Because seriously, because or anybody in Marcus's position that's going to come in with that type of a mindset, somebody who's financially turned on and switched on, if you don't know your numbers, they're going to eat you for breakfast.
Right. And the thing is, not only did Dave not know his numbers in terms of balance sheet type of accounting, but he didn't know the simple inventory numbers in the sense that Marcus asked him, soup accounts for what percentage of your sales? He says, about 60%.
Right.
And Marcus says, do you know that for a fact or are you guessing? He says, no, I know that for a fact. Okay.
I think he said he was guessing. I think he
So,
admitted.
well, but then Marcus says to him, what's your number 2 best-selling item? And he says, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
do you know or do you not know? You clearly don't know.
Right.
So,
And from watching the show and also from real life experience, it's if you're going to be taking a business partner on, and that partner is the financial side, you need to school yourself up in the numbers. You need to know enough about your numbers to
not
have.
only that, but wouldn't you be embarrassed to be on national television with Marcus in your vicinity and not know the answers to those
not just
questions?
Marcus though. Anybody that comes on that's on the financial
Anyone
side.
doing due diligence.
Yeah, they're
is
going to eat you alive, and then you lose. And luckily, Marcus, in most of these cases, I won't even say in most of these cases, in all the cases that we've seen, he hasn't been a shark. He hasn't gone in and eaten.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he could be though. And part of what allows the shark to get away with what the shark gets away with is they throw you off balance by nailing you on those numbers and stuff, and you feel like you're lost and dazed and confused.
And Marcus does not come across that way at all.
He doesn't, and so.
And yet it's common business practice, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so you just got to watch out for that. But so Dave, you thought he was pretty. It seemed okay.
Seemed okay at the beginning, and then the more Marcus delved into things, the sketchier Dave became for me.
Right. What did you like about the business as he came in?
The business I thought was, as you had said earlier, very easily franchisable. I think it clearly, the soup market tells you immediately what it is you're going in to buy.
Right.
And I think that you can offer a variety of soups, both on a high caloric
Right.
spectrum and a low vegan, healthy. You can easily come up with 10 to 11 to 12 soups a day that are fresh soups.
Right.
That can be pasta, heavy cream based, and can be barley and broth based.
See, if you are you a soup fan yourself?
I am a soup fan.
So would you want different soups, or would you kind of like the same?
I think I'd like a staple, maybe 6 to 8
Right.
staple soups, and then I'd like to see maybe 4 rotating weekly.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Just to
once I
change
get
it
a
up a
good
little
soup,
bit. Yeah.
that's all I want.
My
right?
favorite soup is actually split pea and ham.
Is it really?
Yes.
That's a little weird.
It is weird. It is weird. But when I was in university, we had a split pea and ham soup that was in the cafeteria area, and I would get it, and I loved it.
Did you ever go to Anderson's split pea soup?
No.
Well, then you should. It's
Oh.
like a staple. It's one of those, if it still exists. It's over by Solvang, I think. You know where
Okay.
Solvang is?
No.
it's a cool little Dutch town. I think it's Dutch, and it's along the coast as you're going up toward
Like
Nevada.
Santa Barbara?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Santa Barbara, that area, Santa Ynez. But definitely a place to go to. Anderson split pea soup.
All right,
So
cool.
free commercial. But yeah, so yeah, I agree with you that there was room for these lower caloric soups, and
Sure.
you know, Marcus points that out, so we get to just jump on board and ride on his coattails on that
Yeah.
observation. But there certainly was room for that if we're going to franchise it and we're going to roll it around the country, because people are looking for other options.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, with dieters and people looking to lose weight, and more people are, you know, looking for their solutions,
Yeah.
soup diets.
Are great.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I had a friend, Wendy, Wendy, what's Wendy's last name? I'll remember.
Wendy Soup Lady.
The soup lady. She rolled out an infomercial with a product called Aspen 6-Day Bio Diet,
Okay.
Aspen Spa or something like that.
And it
But
was
it made a fortune.
Liquids?
It was basically a
soups?
liquid diet,
Okay.
yeah, and people were losing a lot of weight. And I know that when I've fasted and that type of thing, if I stick to liquids, it really works well for me in terms of cleansing my system, in terms of allowing me to shed the weight. So I think I agree that there's
I think
an
that's
area
why
of the market.
Marcus selected this business to go in and be part of, because he saw that as well.
He saw that,
Yeah.
but I don't think Dave saw that.
Dave missed a lot of stuff.
Well, but see, Dave was stuck to his recipes, and he had all the different recipes that he did. And, you know, there's nothing against those recipes. Some of them sounded neat. What was his favorite?
Pork cooked in bacon fat soup.
Pork cooked in bacon fat. Now, I think that's the goulage, right? The Hungarian goulash.
It sounded delicious.
Have you had that before?
No,
I-
but it sounded great.
I went to the Swiss Alps and
Oh,
went
wow.
to Zermatt in the Swiss Alps, and I ate Hungarian goulash every single
So
day.
good.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, so I think those are the types of things that need to stay on the menu.
Sure, of course.
And
Yeah.
I'm in Marcus's court about doing
Right.
a lower calorie. Right, and that was the other thing that Dave couldn't tell. He couldn't tell what calories were in it because he didn't think that way.
Well, and the thing is, though, but this is the problem, is you have to move with the way society moves.
Right.
You go to a Starbucks now, and there is a menu item of things you can select, and next to the price is also the calories.
Yeah.
So I know when I get a venti frappuccino that I'm ingesting 600 calories.
Yeah.
I know when I go to McDonald's that I'm ingesting 550 when I eat a Big Mac.
Then explain fat burger.
I can't.
I just threw that out. I mean,
You stumped me.
but I think you're right. I mean,
But I'm saying that society's moving that direction so
Yeah.
that the soup market could
Right.
very easily offer that up.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. I just threw that out there to test,
To mess with
test
me
you.
at midnight?
To mess with you at midnight. Messing with you at midnight. Hashtag. No, but I agree with you 100% that there's going to be a greater market if we do label it. We put the calories on there, and there's absolutely a market for people that want to eat lean and
Yes.
eat fast. I mean, that could be their tagline: eat lean, eat fast.
Right.
The soup market.
Yeah.
You know,
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if they had gone that direction, but there was a lot of resistance on Dave's part, and there was.
Why do you think?
Well, there were a lot of things that he was resisting every step of the way. And for me, God bless Marcus's heart, because he's able to capture these people. He sticks with them through the episode when I would have been gone a long time before it. He has patience, and that patience works well for him in a lot of these cases. Most of the time.
Right.
But, you never know. I mean, Marcus might have summed up the situation very quickly. He's very astute. He's very keen. And then they still had to make the episode. So it's like, okay, let's build this
Since
episode
we're
together.
here, since we've committed our time and our resources
Yeah.
to being here.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I mean,
And it was an interesting one because, I don't want to give the ending away, but
we'll get there.
We'll get
yeah.
there.
It's so Dave has a lot of resistance throughout the episode.
what did you think of Dave's staff?
Oh, they all seem fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All of the staff seem fantastic. This guy Kevin that they had, who was the
Director of
regional
operations,
director
right?
of operations, right? Kevin seemed very sharp, very nice. He also had Dave's back to a certain degree. Like, he wasn't giving up information, and there was information to be given up.
There was a lot of loyal people working there.
Oddly loyal,
Yes.
because let's throw in the dynamic. So the dynamic is that you have what's her name, Grace.
you have Dave and Jill who are married,
Dave and Jill are married.
and you have Grace, who is the real director of operations,
Right.
whom apparently wife Jill does not like.
Right. So wife Jill believes that Grace has something going with her husband. Both her husband and Grace have said, no, that's not so. But under pressure, so the husband is attempting to push this girl Grace away, not let her come in, not let her come into the facility even. And Marcus is trying to, it's like a detective movie here where he's trying to figure out who's this Grace that
Grace?
nobody will talk about. Right. And you hear Dave whisper, don't mention Grace, don't talk about Grace. And Marcus is like, who's Grace?
Who's Grace? What's up with Grace? And
what I mean, I guess we have to kind of give the reveal. So,
Sure.
so Grace, there's like this sexual harassment thing that's unfolding before our very eyes in this episode.
that no one was giving up to Marcus in terms of information.
Right. So it's wild to see this episode
But that
unfold.
explains why wife Jill is loitering around all the time.
Yeah, we say loitering. She's like hovering.
This store and that store and inside thing.
And that's how he finally gives it up. So
Right.
Marcus says, why is your wife here? It's odd that she is following us to eat. So there's 5 stores, 5 locations that they have of the supermarket. And Marcus says, okay, it was great that she met me on the first day, but why is she here? Does she come every day? And she has her own job. She works for the University of, Michigan?
Yeah.
U of M, and that's Michigan, yeah. Or Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
The University of Milwaukee in the athletic department. She's got her own job, right? So she must be an athletic supporter. That's why she's there to support. Get it? If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. All right. Anyway, bad joke, bad pun. But so she's there. She's hanging out, and then finally Dave says, "Well, the reason why she's hanging out is to support me and to make sure that Grace stays away."
Now, what did you think of Grace?
Yeah, here's where I think we're going to have a conflicting opinion because my feeling with Grace is because you never know in these types of situations. Like it's kind of he said, she said, right? Whose problem is it? And Dave absolutely 100% without a doubt has problems. You know, we all do.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
But Dave has some issues here. I mean, just the whole way he's dealing with it is it's a symbol of how he's dealing with the whole situation outside of it, so or around it, the circumstances surrounding it. So he's trying to hide the thing. He's trying to hide her name. He's clearly got issues, but we can't say that he's the one 100% that contributed to this situation. You want to find out what the other party's side is, and when she starts to talk, there's the responsibility really lies in his hands as the employer, but there's this weird dynamic and tension between the two of them. And she looked to me like the kind of person that would cook your bunny.
Yeah,
you
she
didn't
was
really
a
think
little,
that though,
she
right?
Was, well, no, I didn't really think that actually. And not that I'm sort of on Grace's side because
Right.
Grace is the woman.
Sure.
I tend to be a just person. I like to think that I'm just.
Right.
But I found that she
Just Katerina Cozias.
just
hashtag.
Katerina Cozias or Cozias Katerina, depending if Twitter likes you or not.
Right.
But she seemed to me as though she simply wanted to come to work and perform her job.
So you got that she was taking a stand, and you said, and you were proud of that stand that she was taking.
I did, because there are some women that I think push a point simply to push a point.
Right.
And I didn't feel that with her.
So you didn't get that. You got that she
I got
was...
a genuine person who somehow couldn't figure out what the heck had gone on.
Right.
And was trying to stand up and do her job, had all of this extra baggage from the wife and from Dave and Dave's twisting of the situation.
Right. And what you're saying very well could be.
Could be, yeah. I mean, we don't know.
Problem is we don't know what's
We
behind
don't
the
know.
scenes. We don't know how much they were both contributing to the situation. Right. Were they having romantic interludes, which both of them said nothing happened, but
although
nothing happened.
She did, by the end of the episode, serve him with papers.
Yeah, so she gave him. They were served.
Some sort of
Yeah, that means they. Yeah, so they had a
They're
lawsuit
go to court,
that was filed against them or against Dave for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Which that's we were sitting there watching it, and I'm like, that's the shit. You got to be aware of this, and it's always, it never ends good in these situations. Well, that's about a load of crap too.
But it is a he said she
People
said
meet
thing.
their
It's
mates
hard.
at work.
Yes.
That type of stuff often happens, and so then when you look at these situations where it just becomes a mess. For me, it's horrifying because
No.
you know
And no one wants it to go there.
well, and the guy's a married man. I mean, and so I think that's the real
Yeah.
the real zinger. You know, I can't say it's the only issue, but it's the real zinger is that he's a married man and he's having this. What would you call that?
Harassment suit, I guess.
Well, it could be a harassment suit. It
Could
could
be
be
a
a fling.
stalker,
It could be a stalker. It could be a fling. It could be anything.
Right.
But I do appreciate your point to saying that you didn't feel that from her.
I didn't get that from her.
Yeah.
No.
Because it very well, you know, when your blood gets boiled because you're in an unfair situation, how that emerges and how people see that.
Right. Yeah. Could be skewed.
It could be
Sure.
skewed, sure, because you're off. You're off. You're not right.
Right. Yeah.
But there's
yeah,
there's a justifiable not rightness.
yeah.
Yeah. So so this was kind of sitting in the background of the entire episode. You know, Marcus had to discover through his sleuthing, through his super sleuthing. And by the way, Marcus, I'm gonna make an appeal once again. Come on the show. We'd love to have you here. That would be we'd be thrilled to help you promote The Profit and to sit down with you here and have a conversation and your new show, The Partner, as well. So please come and join us. I'm at Chris Howard Live, by the way, and she's you can't figure it out because one day it's this way, one day it's the other way.
I'll be hanging with Chris Howard Live.
Yeah, you can figure her out. She's fine. And if we can't figure her out, we get a whole nother planet.
We have a production team.
Yeah, we got a planet.
We can chat on Proxima B.
Proxima B.
Going back to the soup for a moment. So
yeah.
we have this underlying personnel issue, if you will.
Right.
But we also have the operational side of things, which is make the soup market a better version of the soup market.
Right.
And Marcus comes in and he starts offering up suggestions, which at first, owner Dave said, sure, sounds great. We'll go get the calories checked. We'll go figure out the sodium count. We'll get some new recipes. But then he did a bit of a 180.
Right.
What'd you think of that?
Well, you know, it's interesting, yeah, because he was, and that was part of the resistance. But I'll pose a question back to you. What do you think prompted him to call Marcus in the first place? Honestly, like if you really get,
you know, that's a really fair question because from the minute Marcus stepped in the door, you could feel Dave's resistance.
The strangeness, yeah.
You could, and I was questioning that at one point myself. Why would he even call Marcus in?
Right.
I think he called him in because he recognized that although he has 5 stores, he would like to grow.
He saw 50, he said.
He saw 50 in his mind at some point. He understood deep down that he was incapable of growing the business.
Right.
I think he understood that there was a disconnect.
See, I think he was feeling an enormous amount of pressure with the Grace thing. I think he was feeling an enormous amount of pressure.
But why would you call in public cameras if you had the Grace issue? I mean, that's when you would not let the cameras in.
Well, either that or tell the truth up front. You know, put it all on the plate. And I think that's what got him into trouble. Because Marcus has a level head.
Yeah.
If you lay the situation out and you say, look, I was an idiot. I did this, this, and this. Yeah. For me, and for what I know of Marcus, I think Marcus would be willing to work with that.
He would say, okay, I understand.
How are we going to navigate? Yeah.
But if you're hiding it, which is exactly what Dave did.
He was hiding it. And how do you partner with somebody like that? If they're going to lie to you up front, they're going to lie to you for how they do one thing, how they do everything. They're going to continue lying. And so that's why like in the very beginning of the episode, I'm like, why isn't Marcus walking away? The guy's hiding stuff and lying.
But that's an interesting theory you had about the fact that they were already into this commitment, that they figured we may as well just make the episode.
It's possible.
And this is one of the few episodes where, again, and spoiler alert, that the deal does not go through.
Right.
Yeah.
And we saw some of these last season.
Not too many, though.
Not too many, but they had them where they would roll out 2 different businesses in a singular episode. So, and to be fair, there were scenes that were clearly shot in a way which was an order and syntax. I don't even know what I want to say. I'm sounding too cerebral here for a second. But it was sequential in terms of how they filmed the scenes. And so you knew Marcus was trying later on in the episode to still make the business work. He was going for it.
Well, he put in about $100,000 into this
$100,000.
business, so he did commit to working with them.
Yeah.
He refurbished one of the stores completely.
See, and what kind of shocked me about this is that he would commit to working with them, getting the red flags up front. And so, maybe the way that it was edited and pulled together was put together in a way where it buried that and left the dramatic, value of the episode
culmination,
in.
yeah.
Yeah, but it seemed pretty clear right off the bat that this guy was hiding things and not being honest.
And not being flexible.
Not being honest, not being flexible, not taking feedback. Feedback is the...
And I agree with you. I think Marcus is astute enough to have seen through that fairly early.
Yeah.
So this was an odd episode for me.
Yeah, but a great episode too because of the drama.
Right.
Yeah. So the franchise opportunity was definitely there. Dave wanted the franchise opportunity. Marcus could have made this go, and if he had this in his hands, my bet is it would have been huge.
I think Marcus, if this had stayed with Marcus, I think we would be seeing soup markets all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Marcus, at one point when they're arguing,
and
he
it's
says,
too bad because I love soup.
I know. Well, you know what?
Soup.
There's nothing stopping Marcus from going out and launching his own.
This is true.
It's not his investment style. He likes to take
to partner.
Right, and take things that are already up and running, and he's a turnaround guy.
Right.
But there's nothing stopping the right people from doing that, or for him from going to another soup kitchen or soup market,
and saying,
let's do this, let's take this.
I just kept having visions of that Seinfeld episode. Remember
the
with the soup Nazi?
Yeah, but
that was one of the best Seinfeld episodes. That one and the episode where Elaine stole the toilet paper. Do you remember that one?
I do not.
It was so good. But I just kept having these visions of Kramer and eating soup and
oh boy, yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah, that's actually, this is something you'd see in New York, isn't it? Because it's like
this had a very New York feel about it. Yeah, it did. Yeah,
you see a lot of soup places and stuff like that. We don't see those on the West Coast. See, this is a big idea. This is one of those things that if and his money, like, what did they have? They had I believe the gross revenue was 1.85 million. 85K
that's pretty good
debt.
on flavored water, people. Come on.
There's gross margins 52%. They needed to get to 70. What I appreciate about Marcus is how he'll break down, and it's got to be great having the. And this is what I'll ask Marcus when I see you, is how much does the production team coordinate? I'm sure they do, because. Does he know those numbers off the top of his head, or are they bringing those in and research? Do they have a research team bringing them in and saying these are what the numbers, these are what the margins should be in this industry?
I'm sure they do. Yeah,
it's a combination. I'm sure, but so what was fascinating for me was how he was going to change the margins from the gross margins from 52% to 70%, and
that's a big hike.
That's a big hike, but it was pretty much through cutting the cost of the ingredients within the soups themselves, saying that they didn't need grade A tomatoes, for example. They could buy grade B because it's in a soup. They're not like the cherry tomatoes you buy off the shelf.
Yeah, you're not eating a charcuterie board. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're seeing some thematic things here. And where he will look to get the costs down by either batching, where the wholesalers or wherever they're getting the product or the produce. How do we batch this? How do we take it to one place, get the costs down?
But I mean, even during that exercise, Dave was being sarcastic. I mean, at one point, Marcus said to him, "How can we add more fiber into the soups?" And his answer was Metamucil. Like, come on.
Right, that was
this is somebody in your business trying to help you out.
It was weird. It was a weird cut there. That I think the cut.
The more I watched this episode, sorry to interrupt you, the more I was not liking Dave.
Yeah, and you and I were saying this just before we started, that when you go on an episode like this, you sign the contract, you're taking your life into your own hands, and actually you're walking out on a platform because they could choose to go any way they want.
They can edit it the way they want to edit it. Sure.
Yeah. And Marcus is a fair guy, and everybody's got their own perspective, so they can skewer you if they want to. So you're taking that risk by going on the show. So I guess the best thing would be not to be somebody who's skewerable to the best of your ability. Yeah, we all.
I don't know if that's your character, though. Can you change?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Well, they see that's the problem. If you go into the business and he's already lying, and he's already hiding, and he's already deceiving, that's a pattern. I mean, if he's doing it right out the gate.
You know what I found interesting, and I'm not sure if I missed it or if they just didn't show it. What percentage Marcus offered him?
50-50
deal. Was it? Okay.
Yeah,
I missed that.
so what he did, and just to set up the episode, Dave's partner Tim died.
Yes. And they were 50-50.
They were 50-50 partners, which, Marcus had always said was not a good structure. I don't think it's a good structure. So Marcus is kind of, he's doing these 50-50s. Yeah. And I think the only reason why now is because he's making it very clear that he's 100% in control. So he's stipulating that in the contractual agreement. So
before they even start,
if they're 50-50, right? Yeah. So, but he gave $315K to buy out. Now, this is what I found was interesting. He offered to buy out the executors of the will and the estate of Tim.
Tim's side,
who wanted $100,000 for the business, for his 50% stake of the business.
Which Dave had commented on that he thought was incredibly low.
Right.
So he thought that was an undervalue of the business.
And Marcus said, don't say that. And then I'm thinking, well, you just said it on TV. What are you talking about? And what's interesting about that to me is that we live in this world where you've got a posture and stuff. Unfortunately, you can't just offer real value and that people get the value that it's really worth, and you give the value that it's really worth. I'm an old school thinker, but it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
And because people have different perspectives also. So, and they're always going to be skewed to what's best for them. Yeah, in most cases. Then they're suckers like I was.
Yeah.
Right. That are just trying to really make it a win-win deal. But I'm still going to keep that philosophy. Yeah. You can't let things burn you.
No, you can't.
But what was fascinating, I've been dealing with insurance and different types of things for my own, but boy, it just makes such a great case for having insurance. Keyman Insurance would have, if they had Keyman Insurance on both of them, they took $4 million policy out on both of them, then it would have paid for it would have paid off the estate, everything. Would have paid the expansion, the whole deal. I mean, I don't believe that Dave could do it on his own, and I think he was destined to continue to make messes unless something interfered.
Do you expect to see this business fail now that Marcus is not going to be part of it? Or do you expect it to just continue its status quo?
Well, see, this is the thing. And unless Dave has a big wake-up call, and it doesn't sound like the episode was a big enough wake-up call for him to change his behaviors. And so maybe the lawsuit will be the wake-up call for him. Maybe, and if it's not that one, it'll be the next one or the next one, so... Yeah.
Something needs to wake him up, though. Yeah,
something's got to wake you up where you continue where you're headed.
What did you think? I'm going to backtrack for just a moment. There was a comment made. Marcus had come in near the beginning of the episode. He was in the various stores and he was meeting the staff. And he met Kevin, who was the director of operations under Grace. Grace at this point was absent. And he said to Kevin, how often do you go out to the stores? To the other 4 stores, because Kevin was working out of one, out of Bayview, I think it was Bayview,
Bayview, it's the main place.
The main place. And he said, not as often as I'd like. I want to be in the various stores, but Dave is telling me not to bother, just to phone and to text. And Marcus says to him, what about human contact? And I found that so interesting because what about human contact?
Right.
I was on the phone this morning for 40 minutes trying to get through to an insurance company, and all I got was bumped from voicemail to voicemail to voicemail to voicemail to press 5 to press 2 to press 8 to press 2, and I'm thinking, can someone please just answer the phone?
Right.
So that's a phone that I'm wanting answered. If you're running a business and you're a manager in store number 4, would you not want to have somebody in a managerial position come in and tell you you're doing well, you're doing badly, you're doing... I mean, again, human contact.
Dave was out of touch, though, and somehow, there was this thing that was brewing, and like you had said earlier, why were all the employees so loyal and still so excited? I mean, it could have been the television show. It could have been that, the halo effect of the television show where everybody's just...
Yeah, because Marcus was going around asking the employees about the situation, about Grace, about things, and no one was offering anything, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, and they were sweet, But what was the
It was a very non-gossipy environment, which I liked.
What was the first girl's name you talked to? Was it Stephanie or something? Let's get her name right.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Because she was so good. He pulls her outside.
I got a Myra.
Yeah, well, it was a Spanish spelling. Stephanie is how it says
Okay.
here. Yeah. So he pulls her outside, and he's talking to her, and she's just so sweet, and she's got this smile on her face, and she's happy, and you get the sense that they're generally happy to work at this place, that they like it. But so this, it's tough to say because the question is, why are they so loyal? Why do they like it so much if there's this big thing that's brewing?
Elephant in the room, yeah.
Yeah, unless it was just the dysfunction of the relationship between the two that made it so big.
But that it permeated through everything?
Yeah, but look, Kevin wasn't giving that up. Kevin had a great, and maybe once again the halo effect of the television. Who knows? But I'm surprised that they would be so loyal in that type of a situation if it was really that disruptive for the business. I just don't
Right,
get that.
which sort of says to me again that I don't think Grace was the one that was making this a big issue.
Okay.
I think if it really had been a sexual harassment type of situation,
Right.
I think people would have been a little more vocal about it.
Yeah.
I think this was more a Jill, the wife, was jealous
See,
of
I
the
saw that too.
relationship.
I saw Jill as being.
So I think Jill was the instigator, and for whatever reason, I mean, obviously Dave would want to keep his marriage intact,
Yeah.
but to the detriment of his relationship with Grace, who I felt really loved the business.
But where there's no smoke, or where there's smoke, there's what the hell is that saying?
Where there's smoke, there's usually
there's
fire. Right.
Right. So even though
okay.
Jill was the instigator, I would take that bet that Dave was doing
Something was going on there.
Yeah, Dave was doing something there, and it may, sometimes it's not even that he's doing exactly what she thinks. He might be doing something else, but
Sure.
there's something
Yeah.
going on, So I remember that song. I know there's something going on.
No.
Okay. Skip it.
Sorry.
So everybody's whispering about this, but it was so fascinating in terms of the people issues. And I'm going to go back for a second because you did bring up the retooling and reimagining of the soup production. And so I think we can look at Marcus's three staples: the product, the process, and the people.
The people, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think? And so let's talk about each of those. What is the product?
So the product was great. I thought the product was great. I thought they had come in with some alternatively healthier soup options. And I was happy with the product. I think that's what got Marcus involved in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you. The product was great, and even with the heavier soups, because Marcus
But
said,
you know what? Sometimes you want a heavy soup.
Yeah.
You want potatoes, and you want goulash, and you
give me
want
the chunky clam chowder. Yeah. So it's like and so I think that's fair to have those in the
Sure.
mix, and then have
Absolutely.
the other ones as well, which Dave was clearly resisting. He didn't want Marcus touching on the process at all, or the process of the
product, right.
creation of the
Yes.
product. Also, they had 200 different soups, which were probably too many.
Too much.
Yeah. So to pare it down and get 20 right is, the thematic
Right.
learning that we're seeing in these episodes. So product had room for improvement, and if they were going to hit the market in the right way, where there was really a need, and I would say pent up demand.
Where would you find a market that had pent up demand for soup?
Well, that by lowering the caloric intake.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so you lower the, you make it something
And
that people
you
can
could be
eat lean on the go.
strategic as you grow this business. You could place these soup markets next to an Equinox gym, next to a swimming
McDonald's.
pool, next to a McDonald's, right?
Right, yeah.
So you could be very strategic with respect to how you market this business.
And maybe Marcus was so keen because he knew the value
could
of it,
see it,
that he
yes.
was, being patient with these other issues because there was the opportunity here.
So we have the product. What about the process?
Yeah, the process. So, and I think the process starts like, and let's look at the customer experience first. So the customer experience as they come in the storefront was okay. The inside was not franchisable. Even in their main store was the nicest store.
There was no consistent theme, look and feel.
Right,
Yeah.
and I think Marcus said that he didn't get what Dave was attempting to market. Was it a statement, a concept? What was it that he was looking to get out there? What I thought was ridiculous was during the episode where they're talking about these things, Dave says, I went into your other store. What one was it? I'll find the name. He mentions
Oh,
Marcus.
the public market.
Oh, no, the public market was where they
That was where Jill was
created all the
loitering.
created all the soups. No, Simple Greek was
Oh,
another
yes.
another one of Marcus's episodes. This is utterly ridiculous that Dave. I mean, he boldly insulted Marcus right on the episode. He said, "I went into Simple Greek, and this is a store that they had 5 stores when Marcus met with them. They sold 56 stores, franchise, in 4 months." And Dave said he says, "Yeah, I went over to Simple Greek last night," and he says, "I didn't like it. It's stark and white." While Marcus is renovating his Bayview location, his first that they were going to sink 60 grand into, he says, "I didn't like them. They're stark and white." And he's like, and he's insulting him on the episode. And this is a store that sold 56 franchises in 4 months. Ridiculous. So here's a guy.
I think Dave was just resisting on every level.
But it's ridiculous to see somebody who's done nothing. I'm going to say nothing with respectfully, because 5 stores is not nothing.
Right,
but if you're a serious entrepreneur, 5 stores is nothing. If you've got 50 on the mind.
Sure.
And he's done nothing compared to what Simple Greek had done.
Right, and yet
he can criticize, he can backseat drive.
I wonder if it was Jill that initially pushed Dave to make this call. Because Dave did not seem to me as though he wanted any part of this.
Wow, this is like speculation. Total didn't we have there's on some of the shows we
predictions.
have predictions,
yes,
right?
Forward predictions.
Yes,
But, every episode here is a new episode, so we can't forward predict. But how about
yes, we can. Yes, we can. Let's do it. Where do we predict that Dave and Jill and Grace are going to wind up? We could get sued for this, right?
Making sandwiches.
Making sandwiches. Where do you predict? 10 years for Dave, unless he changes his ways. Unless he changes his ways.
You know what? I think this soup market, the 5 stores will contain themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll see very much growth. I don't think his profit margins will increase.
Okay.
I don't know that his relationship with Jill will get any better, because if he really has a track record of a little bit of a fine line that he crosses with employees, it's not going to be the only time.
So you think it's going to happen again?
I believe it might.
Okay.
Yeah.
You believe it might, or you believe it will?
Well, you know what? I'm not sold.
What do you think?
To be honest with you, I don't think anything happened between Grace and Dave.
I agree with you on that front.
I think Dave just backed up because Jill got in his face.
Yes.
And Grace is thinking, what the heck?
But remember, Dave said that he had feelings for her, and it was so. My feeling is he was probably pushing the issue with her.
I think Grace brought the lawsuit against him for the fact that he terminated her employment rather than the sexual harassment.
Yeah, sticky situation.
And I think he terminated her employment to get her out of the way, which again is wrong.
But that is sexual harassment.
Yes, it is wrong. Of course it is, because she in her workplace did nothing wrong.
Right.
So
boy, messy situation. But look, and Marcus was willing to work with it. He said, "Okay, well, I've got that now. You've been hiding this from me. Okay, this is how we're going to deal with it. We have to clean this thing up." But Dave was just being an asshole.
Yeah, and so we've got to let the viewers, whoever may not have seen what happened. Well,
they have to watch it now that we're doing it. What happened? So Dave, continues to resist. She files a lawsuit that's in the reveal.
It was a crazy episode.
But Dave starts taking down the signage, the beautiful signage that Marcus.
So Marcus
put
came in, $60,000 worth of renovations.
Yeah.
They have the grand opening, if you will. Goes well.
Beautiful.
The store looks beautiful.
They invite everybody for free. Soup for free for the day, which is a brilliant strategy.
But it had a fresh feel, fresh food, fresh produce, beautiful signage. The place looked great.
Yeah, there's people lined up outside to get a taste of this. I'm sure the halo effect of the television show couldn't have hurt. Marcus's presence couldn't have hurt. All of that stuff goes into making a really good launch, which they had. They had a fantastic launch.
But
then
Marcus comes back a week later, and the entire store has been sort of pulled down. The signage is gone, the menus are gone, the produce is gone, and Dave turns around and says, "Well, I didn't like it." Oh my gosh, what?
And what's ridiculous is there was not a good reason for him taking the produce. Looked great in the baskets. I mean, it really looked fresh.
Really fresh, red tomatoes and yellow squash, and it just looked so
Marcus had
fresh.
brought in pretzels and the pretzel on the wall. I mean, they were on track to have their prototype
To have
for their
50
franchise.
stores,
Yeah.
yes.
And Dave takes it down. See, I think the problem is that a lot of these entrepreneurs, they don't want to really lose control. They're desperate. They're in need. And when they lose control, it's, you know, you don't become an entrepreneur because you want to be controlled. You don't become an entrepreneur because you want a job. You really don't. That's not why you become an entrepreneur. You become an entrepreneur because you want to take charge of your own destiny. So, you know, you got to really go through the thought process of, is this what I want? Do I want to, you know, be an owner of my job, a partial owner of my job, or not? And I think that some of these people, like Dave, didn't really want that. And I will tag on to your point. Maybe it was Jill that said, call in Marcus, because this situation has to change.
Dave just seems so resistant from the beginning to me.
Yeah. You know, my predictions are, you know, I'm on your side on this because I think Dave was more the instigator than Grace was in terms of the sexual energy that was happening between the two. He said that they were best friends, and something happened to cut that off. I think Dave was probably pushing that flow because do you think if Grace gave him the chance, he would have gone?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. So I think that was, and then Jill said, you know, stop this shit. So Jill's asserting her boundaries inside the relationship, but the issue is you can assert those boundaries forever. That's not going to stop the dog from wanting to do the bad thing.
And I think between that and the fact that Dave was so resistant to the changes in the business,
right?
Marcus just said, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm out.
And legit.
And he lost $100,000.
Yeah, but you gotta cut your losses, and you gotta walk away if you gotta walk away. You know what? It's we're about 10 minutes before the top of the hour. We're usually a 60-minute show, but these guys have been here. The producers have been here all day long. They've had a very long day, so I'm gonna wrap it up right now out of respect for them, because
for the crew here,
for the appreciation for our crew. We love you guys. You guys
We
help us
do.
out so much. And it's a shout out to all of the AfterBuzz crew, to Maria Menounos,
really
to Kevin
great
Undergaro.
team here, absolutely.
Great things that we're doing here at the station, and that they're doing here at the station. So we're incredibly grateful. I'm incredibly grateful.
Yes.
Katerina is incredibly grateful, and way to pull the long haul here tonight, guys. Thank you. So Katerina Cozias, where can people reach you?
You can reach me, folks, on Twitter at Cozias Katerina. I would love to gab with you about the profit, about life. Hit me up.
Hit her up.
Hit me
Hit her
up.
up. I'm Chris Howard. You can reach me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram. You can also reach me at legendarylivingdaily.com for daily motivation, inspiration, entrepreneurial tips, as well as legendarylivingtv.com for YouTube. Remember to subscribe to the podcast here. Download that so you can get us drip-fed intravenously. And like the video, rate 5 stars, put any comments you got, and interact with us.
Yes.
And until next week, good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.